Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming to the Berlin Board of Education meeting of May 11th. A couple of brief announcements before we get started. My name is Richard Royan. I'm the board president. I want to thank you to the YouTube viewers that are coming in tonight. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to everybody else. I have a feeling we're going to have a couple less viewers than we did last week, as it was a pretty monumental meeting, but I think ultimately we made the right decision. And I'm glad to see that other districts are looking to follow suit from where we are right now. But I did want to let everybody know if there was anybody coming on tonight wanting to know if updates to graduation plans were being made available. Right now, there are no updates to the Berlin High School graduation plan. That was explained, at least the changing of the date is all we actually addressed last week, and the potential to go live if we're able to, of course, in virtual planning starting now. But there won't be any additional specific graduation plans. So you can go and enjoy your dinner if that's why you came tonight. So we're going to start off tonight with Ryan this afternoon. I don't know, Ryan disappeared from my screen. Ryan, oh, there you are, Ryan. Can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Yes, sorry about that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Ryan. First up on the agenda tonight, the committee reports. So the reports of the student representatives, Jenna and Ryan, do you have anything you want to talk to us about?
No, we don't have anything to report this week, but we'd like to thank you guys for last week with the graduation decision.
There you go, Matt. There's a thank you. You're welcome, Jenna. Good. I hope we can pull it off for you. Ryan, how about you? Do you have anything for us tonight?
Same as Jenna. I just want to thank you also for the decision about our graduation with moving it to the Friday and coming to a consensus on that.
You're welcome. I will say that the State Department of Education did a survey among districts, and they put the results of the survey out today. I just saw them for the first time, asking what different districts are doing for graduation. And there are a couple of districts that are looking to do what we're doing, and a lot of undecided ones, and also a handful of ones that are kind of committed to go virtual. So we're all kind of in the same boat right now. We're going to keep everybody posted with any new information as it becomes available. Thank you both very much. Committee reports. Matt, was there a finance and operations meeting? Not since Monday, certainly, but before the Monday before?
We did not. We did not have a finance and operations committee meeting last week. I actually canceled it and postponed the agenda until next week. So nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. Julia, you're the chair of the Community Engagement Committee. Was there any meetings in the last 2 weeks for that one?
Julia Dennis, board member. No, there were no meetings since. Thanks.
Thank you. And then last, I know, Carrie, you're the chair of the Curriculum Committee, and I know we just had a meeting. So if you could kind of summarize that for us, please.
Sure. Carrie Sassu, Board of Ed member. The Curriculum Committee met just prior to this evening's Board of Ed meeting. The primary topic was credit recovery at the high school. We discussed the sort of forecasted numbers and need for such for this upcoming summer, which doesn't seem to be too discrepant from what it has been in summers of recent past. We discussed what is the software used for such, and then also talked about the long-term implications for credit recovery, given the current circumstances and not knowing quite what the fall may look like. So we talked about some work that teachers and staff and other administrators might also need to undertake associated with such. Did I capture that fairly well, Rich?
No, I think so. And I know that Aaron's going to talk to us a little bit later about some of the credit recovery pieces. So that's very good. Thank you very much. I think that's a very important conversation. It's important for people to know that it's ongoing as we're still trying to measure where we need to add the support. CREC report. Tracy, is there anything coming out of CREC in the last 2 weeks?
No, nothing. We have a meeting on the 20th.
Good. Then we look forward to hearing from you after that. Next up, correspondence to the board. Brian, do you have anything?
Yes, I have one correspondence to the board. Thank you sincerely for sharing in our sorrow. Thank you very much for the beautiful flowers. Sincerely, Rosina Markey, teacher at Griswold.
Thank you. I was just checking because next up is the audience of citizens. I just wanted to make sure. Nope, nothing. There were no emails, so nothing came through in the audience of citizens for this meeting. We'll continue to do it in this format for the time being. Consent agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions from the consent agenda? All right, hearing none. All those, let's see how we're going to do this. I guess we'll go around quickly.
No, wait, your motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. You need a motion. I apologize. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
That counts as a motion and a second, I believe. That was pretty good.
Who made the motion? Who seconded?
I think Adam got it and Tim seconded it. There we go. Let's go around very quickly. We'll do the roll vote again. Adam?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Julia?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Mary Ellen?
Aye.
And I will concur as well. So it's unanimous. Thank you. The consent agenda is passed. New business. Mr. Cugno, facility-related updates. You are up first. We moved a little quickly for Jeff. So, Jeff, are you there? Oh, there we are. Thank you, Jeff. Well, identify yourself, please, and then you can do the facility-related updates.
I hope you can hear me, folks. I've gone in and out a few times here, so I will move forward. I just had to come back in for the third time.
We can hear you right now. Go ahead, and we'll do the best we can.
Things about the facilities. I wanted to let the folks know that the elementary and middle school are being, a lot of work is being done on maintenance and repair with them and the lavatories. After the last tour we had, there's been some painting, replacing of ceiling tiles, exhaust fans and grills being fixed. Like our facilities director tells me happening in all elementary and in the middle school.
Jeff, I think we lost you for part of that, Jeff.
The only thing I report is, pardon me?
No, we lost you for part of that. I could only hear about half of what you said. Elementary school, laboratories, painting, repair. Was there anything else?
There's a number of things. Exhaust fans and grills are being replaced, being repaired. New petitions are being ordered, and lighting and other fixtures are being taken care of in the lavatories of both the middle school and the elementary school.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Was that all you had for tonight? I guess that's all you have for tonight. All right, we're gonna, Jeff, I apologize. We're having technical issues there. If we can fix it, if there's anything important you want to come back to later, we'll have to come back and revisit. But let's move on to the summer reading program. Mrs. Jerpin is here today. She's our coordinator of literacy, director of literacy and social studies, and she's going to address the summer reading program.
Hi, I'm Lori Jerpin, director of literacy and social studies. You have in your packets information that outlines where we are right now with our summer reading program. It looks something like this. And I'm going to preface this by saying that there may be some changes that happen because we don't really know what's happening with the PEC library and whether it will be opened, whether it will be opened for sessions during the summer, or whether or not it will be curbside pickup during the summer. But we're moving along with our plans. We started in January, so it changes throughout. The elementary is our highlight is really that we just want students to read or be read to 30 minutes a day. And when I talked about this last year, without that reading that happens every single day, we see lots of summer slide when students come back in the fall. So we really just want to encourage students to continue to read. We are hopefully going to pair with Peck Library to do a read and bead, and the libraries and classroom teachers are going to support students as they move forward and set up their summer reading plans. Every student at every school will have the opportunity, they'll go home with books to read. So books that either were donated or purchased, and they'll go home with those to read during the summertime. And when they return, there's some type of reading celebration that's planned at every school. And it includes things like reading to their buddy classroom, wearing their necklaces, those types of things, just to really encourage students to pick up a book. At the middle school, we want students reading at least 2 books during the summertime. And the Peck Library has the Teen Summer Challenge, and they get scratch tickets for doing their reading during the summer. They will have the opportunity. Mrs. Selena has gone in and taught all of the students, or she has plans to teach all of the students how to check out ebooks and audiobooks. The grant that she received through the Follett Challenge, which was $15,000, the majority of that was actually used to purchase ebooks and audiobooks just to help out during this time. So it was timely. They'll be invited to, if we can arrange a curbside pickup, and students will be able to say, these are the books that I'd like brought down to me. We can bring those down to students, and we'll do a curbside pickup there. Students will be invited to participate in summer reading virtual book clubs. They're doing some of that now, and she'd like to continue that during the summer. And we'll all continue to use social media to really share what we're doing in reading and learning during the summer. At the high school, we did students read at least 1 book and then participate in a learning experience, or they read at least 2 books, and then they fill out a Google form, and the students and staff will tweet out about the reading. Learning experiences might be things like TED Talks, going on a tour of their possible college, or virtual tour of their possible college. And then they always take an advisory in the fall and really celebrate their learning. And I've attended those in the past, and the kids really like talking about what they did and possibly what they read. So it's fun. I don't know if anyone has any questions about summer reading. As I said, there might be some changes, but we're hopeful that we can pull this off.
Thank you very much, Lori. Does anybody have any questions for Lori? I appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much for sharing the information with us, Lori.
Thank you, everyone.
Next up is the credit recovery, and this is part of the conversation we had just had in our curriculum meeting, so I turn it over to Erin.
Hello, everyone. This is Erin McGurk. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. Just to give you a quick update about what the procedures are for credit recovery and the numbers of kids that are involved. We were able to get some additional data that showed that last year, 21 students participated in credit recovery programs, and the year before, 27 students participated in them. The way that it has worked in the high school in the past is that students with a grade of 50 to 59 are able to do 1 level of credit recovery, which means that they essentially are assigned the course and do pre-tests for each section of the course, and where they are able to pass the pre-test, they are able to test out of that section and go on to the next session. Students who have below a 50 take the entire course and are expected to do all of the assignments to make up the class, and that Differentiation is based on the idea that the higher the grade is, while students may not have passed the class, we think that they've shown more learning going into the credit recovery system than students who have grades below a 50. The system is set up in a way that we purchase seats through Odysseyware, which is an online service. We have proctors who serve as proctors/assessors for the students who are taking the courses. They assess the student work, either assignments that are multiple choice or assignments that are open-ended using a grading rubric. And in a typical year, much of that is done on site with students working in the school counseling office or at the school under the supervision of the proctors. This year, given the current distance learning situation, we do have some students who are participating in Odysseyware online from the comfort of their own home, much as they're doing the rest of their distance learning experience. And this whole credit recovery model is really designed to give students an opportunity to bounce back from perhaps a lack of learning, possibly a lack of effort, or in some cases, students that would lose credit in courses due to attendance reason. We do charge families who are participating in credit recovery a small fee that helps to pay for the cost of the proctors and the assessors. But there are waivers for that for students who qualify due to financial reasons. So most of the process for the credit recovery that is in place now is the same processes that have been in place and explained to the board in previous sessions. What's different this year is that when the transition was made from face-to-face learning to distance learning, and we got notification that that was going to be extended for a period of time, the high school reviewed the grades of students that were mathematically unable at that point to complete the course and earn the grades in a typical distance learning situation. They were given the chance to enter the Odysseyware system earlier than typically would have happened in the past. In the past, that typically would have happened during exam week for seniors and during the summer for students who had not passed the course by the end of the semester. So that's a quick update on where we are with the credit recovery. I know that the curriculum committee just heard a more extended version of all of that. I'm not sure if any of the rest of you have any other questions that you may wish to ask about this.
Erin, can I just ask for clarification? I think I know the answer. I just want to make sure that it's clear. You said that there potentially we have policies where attendance might impact credit. Are we taking attendance right now during the distance learning?
We're monitoring at the high school students who log into Schoology.
But that credit's not, that attendance has no implications toward credit at all, right? We're not, I didn't say that clearly, I'm sorry. Nobody's credit is in jeopardy because they're not logging in the fourth term during distance learning. Is that correct?
True. That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. I couldn't speak English for a moment there,
yes.
But thank you.
I was hesitating about how to answer that because I didn't want to make it sound like we're sending a message that attendance doesn't matter for anyone, because I know there are high school students right here listening to this. And we're also acknowledging the fact that on a particular day, there might be circumstances in a student's life during a virtual learning experience that they're not able to log in on that particular day or for a particular live class.
And that was the whole point I was trying to get at. Thank you very much for articulating that much better than I did. Does anybody else have questions for Erin?
Rich, Matt, yep. Matt, as a board member, I have a question, although I don't think it has anything to do with credit recovery, and I'm sure you've already talked about this, but I know that we've essentially adopted a pass-fail rating system for the rest of the year, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I got a yes. How does the pass-fail impact high school students' GPAs, or perhaps the better question, does the pass-fail impact where they currently stand before we went out? I think if I understood correctly, we're using the grades from the last term prior to us going out into a virtual world. And that's what's going to calculate
Not exactly,
A
Matt.
little different than that.
So
Okay. If you could clarify, but just make it brief. I know I'm asking for something you've already.
We did speak about this when we talked about the grading at the high school, and essentially the pass-fail and pass with distinction is only in place for quarter 4. So the students already have grades for quarters 1, 2, and 3, and they already have a grade for the midterm exam.
Mm-hmm.
The pass-fail or pass with distinction for the 3rd quarter or the 4th quarter is going to be translated into a numeric value that will allow the transcript to reflect an overall number grade for the course that will be used for class rank and other calculations.
Perfect, thank you.
And Eileen's giving me the nod, so I must have explained that correctly.
But one of the points that Matt made, though, was he was asking, also he mentioned GPA, I believe, somewhere in your question. And it's my belief that what I've heard correct me if I'm wrong, coming out of the State Department of Education, that GPA essentially froze when we went out in March. It won't, no, I read a letter from so correct me, please.
No, it was one of the recommendations, but so the idea behind equating a number grade to the pass, fail, and pass with distinction is so that you can keep the GPA clock running. But what we did is we minimized how much quarter 4 counts, as it's 15% versus the breakdown for the other quarters, which we adjusted because we also removed the exam 2 grade as well. So that was basically the plan to move forward, because if you stop the GPA clock, it has a long-term effect. It impacts students over the course of 3 years, because it would continue to impact your 9th graders, like all the way through their high school career. And quite frankly, for the juniors right now, there's a significant impact on them they haven't had the opportunity to take the SAT, so their transcript is going to be really important. And while Connecticut colleges may be in agreement of accepting pass-fail, colleges outside of the state may not necessarily be in that agreement. So this hybrid plan was put in place so that you could keep the GPA clock running. And again, we have a significant number of juniors that this is one of the years where they take more honors and AP classes, and that would really significantly impact many of those students. So calculations were run multiple times in terms of, would this have a negative impact on students? And it shouldn't. It actually, students should be able to benefit from this, not unnecessarily, but the other thing too is for students that they can opt into a numeric grade should it be more advantageous for them. So it would really only be most advantageous for a student that has a 94 or higher in a course.
Okay.
Thank you very much, because evidently I was wrong. I'm glad you were able to correct me. I know I saw a letter from the commissioner's office early in this process after we left, within a couple of weeks after we left, saying that that the State Department of Ed was recommending that GPAs freeze and then not start up again until we return again. But if that's been changed or evolved, that's fine. I'm glad you clarified that.
I think it's important to note that there's a lot of different models out there, and the time that Eileen spent researching what model would work best for the students in Berlin based on where we were and where we're moving forward, I think we're at that. There's a listserv going out, what other districts are doing. And there's a few other districts that are similar to ours, Eileen, and you know who they are. But I think that our model allows students to opt out and to get a numeric grade so to be advantageous is great, as well as the with distinction, and then it not hurting them and keeping that GPA going forward. So I think we're in a really good place with doing it this way.
That's one follow-up question. If a student fails in this virtual world, does that hurt Does that hurt their transcript in any way?
Well, the failure for the fourth quarter doesn't show up on a student's transcript. So the failure is still equated to a numeric equivalent, which would be counted in the overall grade for the year. But a failure in this fourth quarter has less of an impact than it typically would.
But that would be a driver to make sure that a student is continuing to log on and do their thing, right? As opposed to, oh, there's no harm, no foul, so I'm just not going to log in. So there is some kind of an impact. Okay, great.
I appreciate, Matt, that you're thinking about that, because the work that Eileen did with her team at the high school to consider all of the different scenarios and all of the options to make sure that no one was harmed by the plan that was chosen was considerable, and it involved thinking through all of those, like, what's most important to the kids that are at the top of the class, and the points really matter for their class rank, and what happens with kids that we can keep them hanging in there and not having them just opt out because it doesn't matter.
Thank you. So, Rich, now that I shanghaied your agenda, I'm good. Thank you very much.
No, thanks. Good questions. Does anybody else have any questions for Aaron? All right. Thank you very much, Aaron. I appreciate the information.
You're welcome.
This is all very valuable stuff, as it's all new territory we're trying to walk our way through. Thank you. Brian, I believe you're up next with the last thing on the agenda, the update on end of the year events.
Okay. So 2 things I want to talk about that we're working on. One, obviously, we talked about graduation last board meeting, but there are other end of the year events that need to take place at the high school, as well as at the middle school and at the elementary schools. So this week I'm meeting I met with the elementary principals today, as well as with Eileen this morning also, to look at what events we're still going to have to try to take place to close out the year, whether they, be modifications from what they traditionally are. But we're hoping to put something out within the next 2 weeks to share with the public about what those events will be and how we intend to run those. So we're not, one of them obviously being the 8th grade promotion. There's a 5th grade promotion. There's some art shows, some awards. We're working through those right now, the logistics. So we hope to be able to share that with you by next board meeting. The other is was the end of the year events. The other is right now that students have personal items in the school, as well as teachers haven't closed up their rooms now that we're closed for the remainder of the year. So medications, personal items, returning of books. We're working on creating schedules to allow staff back into the building to close out their rooms, as well as bag all student personal items and allow them to come and pick those up, obviously in a safe manner. Whether they're driving up and getting their personal items, as well as returning books and things. The thought on technology, we had a discussion at Administrative Council last week that we'd like students to keep the technology other than seniors for over the summer. We believe to utilize those tools will be important, so we don't have that summer slide. But those schedules we're hoping to have within the next 2 weeks. For various times for pickups, and to be able to share those with the public to start to move forward with that.
Brian, can I ask you a question on the technology piece? We've talked a lot about the kind of the question mark, the unknowns of what kind of technology what kind of money do we have to spend on technology, given the fact that these kids have had this technology at their house for so long. What's coming back, broken, lost, etc. If we're not collecting, is there any kind of a plan in place to figure out exactly what we're going to need to replace before we come back in September?
I think we could do, I think the students are using the technology currently. I think we'll have to look at what that approximation is of what we need to replace. And maybe we'll do a survey and ask, is your condition? Right now, we currently have students exchanging technology that's broken on a weekly basis. We have our tech staff at Willard, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They put in a help slip. Anything that's broken or not working, they come in and exchange it for one that is functioning, and then it goes back to IT to either fix or to take offline if it can't be fixed. But I don't think we'll have an exact number, but I think we'll have, a ballpark of what percentage we think we might need to replace and what funds we should allocate for that.
Well, thank you very much. Does anybody else have questions for Brian?
Brian, this is Matt Tenza, board member. Brian, do you have any idea how many pieces of equipment are returned for exchange on a weekly basis?
I do not know exactly that, but it's been minimal. It's not been a huge number. I mean, I think we're talking under 10, 12 devices a week. It's not
okay.
We have over 1,000 out. We have
Yep. Nope. Well, that's fine. Thanks.
Anyone else with any questions for Brian? All right. That was a very short meeting, although we do have an executive session. So before go ahead.
Which is not on the agenda.
Yeah,
so we actually have to do something to put it on the agenda so that we can go to that. I'm going to turn it over to the Robert's Rules expert, Mr. Oakes, to take it from there. But I know we have to do something because I've been in this situation before.
All right, Tim?
We're talking about a personnel matter?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I move to add an agenda item prior to the adjournment to hold an executive session to discuss a personnel matter.
I'll second.
Just give me a quick, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent, unanimous. Although I couldn't see Mary Ellen's hand, her video is blocked off at the moment. We'll assume, hopefully, it was unanimous. So now, there we go. Yes, we are unanimous. Thank you. So now that we have added this to the agenda, so now we need a motion to actually go into executive session, and we need to invite Brian. Is there anybody else, Brian, that you believe we need to invite with us?
Oh, I think just me.
Okay. So can I get a motion, please, to go to executive session and invite the superintendent?
Rich, I will move to go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter, inviting the superintendent.
All those in favor? Oh, second. Sorry, Matt. Cut you off. All right.
In favor.
Thank you very much. Unanimous. And we will not be returning. So this will be the end of the public session part of the meeting, and I'll be sending out an invitation immediately to go to a different channel so that we can have our executive session with a personnel matter. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you in a few minutes. Those of you that came along for the ride, thank you.